uh, Gigi wrote to her and said, I'm really sorry, but I have followers, and I told them it would be up until Sunday night. I can't have them come back in and find it's gone. So I can't do it. And I said to her, you think you're going to regret that? She said, well, we'll see, but integrity is the most important thing. And last night at 6 o'clock Pacific time, the auction ended Sunday night, and she got $410 for the. Mark, your reaction was like mine. What?
Sorry.
Yeah. So, there's a multiple stream of income. And
Right.
You ask how Gigi was. Gigi's doing just fine. Meanwhile, she's stealing from my business, as you know.
Well,
So,
and we all appreciate that she does that, Ben. That's great, because that's the only way we get free shipping. So,
say, Ben, I've got, you made a really strong comment when we started here about multiple streams of income, and this is my philosophy: is that as long as it runs parallel to my mission and it supports my main thing, that's what I do. And people say, well, Tom, how do you do 3 or 4 businesses? Well, they all support each other. I'm not going off in different directions. So exactly. I could always change lanes to provide more value for my customer depending where they're at. I think that's, people, how do you do that? Well, it's real simple when you're clear on your primary offering is, and then you can support it. And, affiliate marketing, I do affiliate marketing, but I only promote what I use, the benefit of the product and service, because it supports what I do in my business. So a lot of people say, well, gee, what are you doing in your business to get more market exposure or better communications relationship? So I only use affiliate marketing for those products and their services that I use that it would be benefit to somebody else, even though it might be contrary to what my primary gig is. But sure, affiliate marketing is a great way to take something you use and share it out there and get paid for it. So that's another great source of income.
Yeah, the other thing I've done is stick to the proven system. Right. I started a home care cleaning, magic spray, one of those things you see on television, take the rust off a saw and stains off your driveway and so on. Because a young guy came by the house, I think I was at home in the garage, came in and he did the little razzle dazzle thing. He made a great pitchman at a carnival. And it does this, and it does this, and it does this. And I said, okay, I'll take 2 bottles. He said, well, this is concentrated. Are you sure you want 2? And I said, yeah, 1 to use. And I didn't tell him, but the other one to send to Mort Scott, my friend, the chemist who's invented anything I've ever had, that including the entire Holiday Magic line, that had anything to do with mixtures, potions, etc. So I sent it to Mort, and I said, I found this magic product. Could you duplicate it? He said, certainly. I said, I want ours to be blue, and theirs was pink. And he said, fine. And do you know where to get it manufactured? He said, sure. Abe is a good friend of mine, or whoever it was. And about a month later, we had in the warehouse, we called it ABT3, I had a business class in town, advanced business training, and it was the 3rd class. I told them, I want you to name the product. So they came back and they wanted it named after them, ABT3. We turned it into a multi-million-dollar business. But I was using the exact same marketing plan, all my contacts. It was just a new thing. And it didn't fit into, I didn't want to sell chemicals right next to cosmetics. So we put it in a separate company, but everything else was the same. Bob Cummings vitamins, the same as the Holiday Magic plan. Stay Power motor oil additives, the same marketing plan as the cosmetics, but it was like STP type product. So I'm not the brightest person you ever met. I try and keep it simple. And I always want to know, will it fit into multi-level marketing? Will it fit into what I'm already doing? Will I stand behind it? Because, Tom, you made a great point. Things you're already using.
Exactly.
Which is sort of your stamp of endorsements, like the Good Housekeeping seal of approval.
Right.
It enables you to stand in front of a room or wherever and say, I personally use this. we swear by it. Great leg up.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mark. I know you.
I just got a couple other things here. JR's just saying good evening to us, and I appreciate it, JR, for being here. My next question, this is going to be a fun one here. So this leads me to you, Ben, because you're the master of this. Direct sales, networking, or MLM, things you did back in 1965. There was a gentleman you shared with us that he actually worked for you, I guess, Zig Ziglar. A lot of people might find that hard to believe, but correct me if I'm wrong. Is that not true?
Yeah,
in that organization, Holiday Magic.
Yep, we answered the same ad in Atlanta, Georgia. He came down from Columbia, South Carolina. Maybe he was already in town. I don't know, but we answered the same ad, went to the same office, we both thought we were being interviewed for something. It was an opportunity meeting with 3 people in it: my business partner, Jimmy Rucker, and the greatest salesman who ever lived, and Zig.
We're going to come back to that too.
Okay. He was just unbelievable. And Zig, and we all joined. We put up our $91.41, got a little box of cosmetics, one of everything in the basic line that Holiday Magic offered. That's out of the script, by the way. One of everything in the basic line. For all these years, it's still in there. And off we went. Zig took off a little faster than we did. We were kids. He was 18 years older. Zig was in the Navy the day I was born, to give you a little spread there.
Wow.
So he took off faster, but we caught him and won a year-long national sales contest. He came in second. He got the Rolls Royce. I got the mystery prize, which was presidency of the company. So I used to love saying Zig, but a lot of people did. When you get in the catbird seat, however accidentally, and whether you were qualified or not, that meant that everybody that was anybody in direct selling, public speaking, seminars, sales training worked for me because I was the president, and they weren't. So that put Dr. Napoleon Hill and Og Mandino and Zig and J. Douglas Edwards, all those people. People said, "How'd you meet all those people?" I said, "Well, I go to the bathroom, bump into them in the hallway." Our building was swarming with legends. We didn't know they were legends. Most of them weren't yet, but was swarming with them. So I was just in the right spot at the right time.
Right. And the reason I bring this up, you mentioned Napoleon Hill. What did he think of network marketing back then? I mean, you knew him. I mean, what did he have to say about it? Did he think it was valid? Like when you were in Holiday Magic, what did he ever share anything with you about that?
I've never been asked that question by anybody, and I'll give you the straight answer. We never discussed it. He was sitting in the Holiday Magic building at the end of my conference table, working for me as my personal mentor. But he was in the people business. I swear to you. Now, he never had to leave a meeting. He never had to knock on a door to come in. So he sat in a lot of product meetings. I'm confident he knew we were in the cosmetic business. I just sort of sensed that. And the Stay Power motor oil business. But I hadn't thought about this ever. We never discussed products. There's the famous story when he told me I was dithering when I was calling another meeting.
Right.
To add some products to the thing. But it wasn't, it's a great product, go ahead and do it, Ben. He was commenting on my personal frailty, that I was obviously dithering about making a decision that I could have made weeks before. So that was it. I just don't remember ever products being a discussion. It was the people business and how do we build people. And we were working on building a new company. I had already started Leadership Dynamics, which was the foundation of the modern human potential movement, forerunner to EST and LifeSpring and all those. They all came from Leadership Dynamics right in the Holiday Magic building. and Mind Dynamics, which was a spinoff of the Silva mind control thing, more of use of the subconscious mind and programming and so on. And Dr. Hill and I were working on mentoring dynamics. And again, Tom, what we were talking about a moment ago, I was going to take the same people who are already teaching in Holiday Magic and Stay Power and so on, and they were going to come to California, and many of them had already been there many times, but come to California, stay at the Tiburon Lodge. We were talking about Marin County a while ago. Stay at Ben Farlotti's Tiburon Lodge for 30 days with Dr. Hill, and then go back out to the world as certified in mentoring dynamics instructors, personally trained by Dr. Napoleon Hill. Wow. And Dr. Hill was rude enough to die on me right before we launched it. And the reason that people say, well, why didn't you go ahead and launch it? It was based on, it was really crucial that the first 50 or 60 instructors had met and been trained by Dr. Hill. Currently, I'm the only one alive that I'm aware of, except maybe a family member, who even knew Dr. Hill. There's people running around waving their copies of Think and Grow Rich, but they didn't meet him. They weren't trained by him. And that was the unique stamp I wanted to put on these first 50 or 60 instructors.
That's incredible. That is incredible.
You know, I'm a big studier of Napoleon Hill. Was introduced to me in 1983 by my business mentor at that time, but I didn't take it seriously. But we followed the instruction of what he was using the book for, and the thinking process and what Napoleon Hill taught elevated me the #1 person in the company. But when Richard left the company, so did that discipline. I fell back into the middle of the pack. So I think those principles that are taught in Think and Grow Rich absolutely work, but you got to apply them. You got to stay focused on them. I think that's something you shared with me one time in our conference, your ability to stay focused, right?
Well, that was one of my problems.
Yeah.
So when I think of Dr. Hill, I think of Ben, focus, Ben.
I can just see that too.
Yeah.
But I'm just real quick. I got to mention this one. See, I'm always the last man out here, Ben. So fellas, amazing how Mark is always the least handsome on elevating your profits. So there you go. I've gotten bumped already. You're numero uno, so I guess Tom's 2 and I'm 3. I'm out the door here. So thank you, Eric, for that comment. Robert's out here pontificating the finer points here. He's letting us know amongst Ted. Langle is here saying hello to everybody. Geez, there's a bunch of people out here, so I'll work it in. One of the questions I did want to ask you, what was it like when you started in Holiday Magic? How did you get people to meetings? Because you didn't have this platform, so you had to use the phone, I'm assuming. And how did you physically go pick up people? Did you have a hotel meeting area, or how did all that work, Ben? How did you develop it?
Well, various stages of development, but in Atlanta, where Jimmy Rucker and I started, and Zig and everybody, we met a couple of different locations over the years, but the main location was the Georgian Terrace Hotel. It's right on the corner of Peachtree and Ponce de Leon, still there. Mm-hmm. And I lived right catty-cornered at the Ponce, the old 9-story apartment building built for the Candler family, the Coca-Cola founders. And the other corner is the Fox Theater. So it's a neat place. Absolutely. But I walked to work. I came down the elevator, walked across the street, and went into the grand ballroom, where we had 500 or 600 people a night, 6 nights a week. And the way we got them there was everybody and anybody. I wish I had a little pocket mirror, but we used to laugh in training classes. Everybody carried a little pocket mirror. And they said, well, how did you find qualified people? You put the mirror under their nose, and if you got vapor, they were qualified. And people say, well, that's insulting.
Oh, my God.
I said, it's how I was qualified. I was a high school graduate, barely, who answered a little one ad in the Atlanta Journal, who went to a meeting at 1447 West Peachtree Suite Suite 300, met Bill Dempsey. He didn't ask me about my education or anything. What he wanted to know at that moment was, did I have $91.41? And then the system would take me from there. And it did. I went from making $100 a week. You got to adjust it for inflation. It's not as horrible as it sounds, but still, it's not. You're not investing a lot when you're making $100 a week, even back then, about $1,000 a week now. And I went from $100 a week to $40,000 a month in about 7 or 8 months. First 6 months, I didn't make anything because I wouldn't learn the scripts and I didn't take the business seriously. And I thought if we made a little extra money, Jimmy Rucker and I would have more beer. And he wasn't married yet. Maybe he could pick up a girl or something. That was our total business plan. Get beer money and get out of the varsity. For those people watching, that's a famous drive in Atlanta. Get out of the varsity and go where you could actually sit down and eat in a restaurant. That was a goal. Yeah, a real restaurant like my mother and father ate in. When I left home, that went away. And East Lake Country Club went away. So it was just a matter of getting sick. And I didn't realize it, but I had really fallen in with a rough crowd. Bill Dempsey and 2 or 3 of the original people in Holiday Magic had been dance school instructors for Arthur Murray. And I don't mean to cast aspersions at them today. I don't know. I haven't heard of the Arthur Murray organization in years. But back then, if you weren't robbing banks, you were an Arthur Murray dance instructor. It was a little more sophisticated than bank robbery.
Okay.
And one of the guys that was instrumental in getting me in the business and training me, the state of North Carolina had banned him from entering the state. Just go away, because he was selling quadruple lifetime dance lessons to people in general. Most people only live one lifetime, so you probably don't need a quadruple lifetime. But cheating little old ladies and lonely people and so on, it was a rough bunch. And they all had their shark skin suits on and their diamond pinky rings. And I remember until I had a little more influence in the way we ran things, not wanting my mother and father to come to a Holiday Magic meeting. Never asked them to join. Because I didn't really want them to see. We came, and this sort of an inside thing with you, Mark. You're a big fan of East Lake Country Club, and so am I. Mm-hmm. Bobby Jones home course.
Right.
That's where I was raised, and the people I was raised around were the chairman of the board of Coca-Cola, the founders of Home Depot, etc. And I didn't want mom and dad to necessarily see this crowd I had fallen in with. The products were great. The marketing plan was proven through NutriBio before us, and a Vitavunda or whatever it was called before that. Everything was good except the people were a little shady, especially in the beginning. Once we started recruiting people, it thinned out a bit. It's like pouring water into milk. It thins it. And the good news is it thinned it out. We weren't 90% dance instructors anymore.
Wow. And with that, did you get a chance to ever sit down and talk to William Penn Patrick? Did you ever sit down and talk about the future of Holiday Magic, where it was starting at, where you wanted to take it to? Did you ever get a chance?
All the time. He was my best friend. And if I list mentors, my first was my father. Second was Bill Patrick, until he hired Dr. Hill. The first year was on him. He hired Dr. Hill to be my personal mentor and sort of stepped aside. His office was right down at the other end of the hall. So we were in and out. I was at his home. He was at ours. But he sort of stepped aside. If I would ask him something that was a little philosophical or ethereal, he would say, I paid Dr. Hill $50,000 to be your friend. Go ask him. That's $450,000 in today's money is what Dr. Hill earned to be my friend for a year. And then a little side note that you didn't ask, but I'll tell you anyway. At the end of the first year, Dr. Hill was sort of hinting, are we going to go on? with this? And I said, well, I assume so. Let me go ask Bill Patrick. So I went down the hall and said, Bill, Dr. Hill is sort of beating around the bush. And he wants to know if we're going to do a second year. And I hadn't thought of it. As president of the company, I did see the check that was given to Dr. Hill that day, but I saw it 2 or 3 days later and almost didn't understand the connection. I said, so he wants to know if we're going to do it a second year. He said, well, that's up to you. And I said, well, I'm in. He said, is your money in? I said, huh?
There you go.
Yeah, I thought this was a company expense.
Right.
He said, no, if you're getting value from it, carry on. So I paid him personally for the second year, and I may have paid him for the third year, but he died about halfway through what would have been the third year. So if anyone from the Hill estate is listening, you may owe me about $25,000 as best I can figure.
Ben, that's a great story, but I think the underlying value here is you made an investment in somebody to improve Ben,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where a lot of business people are missing the boat. They make investments in systems and processes, and they're all necessary. I'm not downplaying them, and knowledge.
Right.
But I think the real key to success is making that investment is understanding how successful people think, what's getting in your own way. Would you agree that should be a primary investment in your business development and your business planning?
Yeah, and you reminded me of an old adage. I forget who it was. I always try and give credit to who told me things, but somebody said to somebody, what if we train them and they leave? And whoever it was said, what if we don't train them and they stay?
And they stay. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So Bill Patrick, figuring I was going to stay around, his reputation was on the line. He's the one that picked me to be president at age 25 of what soon became, adjusted for inflation, a $3.5 billion company, adjusted for inflation. I got it up to $1 million a day in 1967 to $72. So the trick he invested in me, which did wonders for my self-image, because I was suffering a little bit from the imposter syndrome. I was sitting in this big office, 25 years old, can't read a profit and loss. I could read a profit and loss because the bottom right-hand corner, if the number wasn't in brackets, you were probably okay. But a balance sheet still mystifies me. I don't understand about it. You got $1 million in the bank, you don't know anybody. How does that balance? How do you get $1 million on each side of the sheet? Don't teach me. Others have tried, Tom. I'm just telling you, I don't get it.
As long as the check doesn't bounce, it's good, right? That's all you need to know, right?
Yeah. The checks aren't bouncing, the balance going up, and that bottom right P&L figure is not in brackets. We owned an airport and a Cessna dealership and so on. And it was called Spectrum Air. I called it Rectum Air because it was Bill Patrick's hobby, his cover for the B-29 bomber and the Learjet and the Gulfstream and the Ford Trimotor and all that stuff that we had. And the first time I held a board meeting for that company, I flipped to the back, last page, bottom right-hand corner, and it had only lost $3,500 that month. Spectrum Air, $35,000 today. And I went, whoa. And Harold Lipscomb, my financial guy, said, Ben, it's the best month it's ever had. Celebrate. So if you messed up in one of the main businesses, I added to your portfolio being president of Spectrum Air, just to give you a round-the-clock problem.
What Tom said there is so true, though, about investing in people. Like in sales or any organization, it's their CRM, it's their intelligence, it's this, it's that. And those are all great mechanisms to have. But if you don't have the right person behind it, what good's it going to do you? And I think reading your books, that message is there if you really study what's in the material that you're presenting. And you mentioned Jimmy Rucker. By the way, I did share this out to him. So if you're listening, maybe he's undercover listening, I would welcome the opportunity to interview him sometime. But what was it like to watch him in action? Like, here you are in this MLM thing, making it happen. And everything you write about the guy is just like he's a natural, like it's walking. And he talks to people and he makes it happen. You spell it out in detail how to do these things. But what was that like?
Well, like a lot of things where you don't know what you should be paying attention to at the time. We went to high school together. We drank beer and chased girls together. We got in all sorts of trouble. He said a funny thing the other day. He said, Ben, have you ever noticed that all the trouble we ever experienced started out as fun? Picture Stone Mountain. Picture the carving on the side.
Sure.
Picture a Volkswagen on top of the carving, driving around in the middle of the night on the top of Stone Mountain. If it was 1962 and the Volkswagen was gray, that was Rucker and me. We had found a back way. We'd found a back way up Stone Mountain.
Did you drive up there?
Drove it up. They ought to make it into a Volkswagen commercial. There probably aren't two cars on earth that could do that. So we were always in trouble. And then he worked for my father as a food broker, a salesman, just like I did. And my father kept saying, Rucker, you're a natural. You're a natural. You got to get serious about selling. We went, and went off and got another 6-pack. But my father saw something in him that I hadn't seen. In the Closers Part 2, the best thing I've ever written about selling is called Sales Infiltration. There we go.
Yes. Yeah,
page 57 in the Closers Part 2. I probably mentioned him in it, but that chapter was devoted to Jimmy Rucker because that's the way he really sold. He was your best buddy with his hand in your pocket before you were sure you knew his name. I mean, he was just instant. And I don't mean like the dance instructors. He was just a guy. Everybody in high school, everybody loved Rucker. It's a shame he didn't have something he was selling then. And so when we got into business and he got a little training, he attributes his success originally to the teachings of J. Douglas Edwards, who wound up working for us, working for me, working for the company. But my first little sales contest I won, it was a trip to Miami to an American Sales Masters convention. They began working for us, the whole company, Hal Krause and gang. And I got to meet J. Douglas Edwards and have dinner with him. Rucker attributes the techniques that he knew to Doug Edwards. But techniques really weren't Jimmy's strong suit. It was personality and charm. He every time I used to see the Sugar Bear commercials, can't get enough of that. I think of Rucker because that's sort of the way he carried himself and talked. And the Sugar Bear was never threatening in a commercial. Rucker wasn't threatening either. But all of a sudden you were doing what he told you to do. And he was the original sales infiltrator. And good luck getting you on the show. I got him to come out here and work for me for about 6 months. And he one day, in essence, said, I knew I retired. I knew I retired for a reason. I just don't need this anymore. Loaded up the family and they went back to Atlanta.
Yeah. I've friended him on Facebook, but he said some kind words about you, but that's about it. He's
never said kind words to my face. Tell him to let me in on it.
Okay.
But he knows. He's always, if I say something about Jimmy Rucker and the greatest salesman that I ever personally worked with, he'll say, "Oh, that embarrasses me," and so on, which is sort of his gentle demeanor. What I started to say was he may dispute this, but Rucker was never a good sales trainer. Because you remember the thing everybody used to talk about, the unconscious incompetent. Right. You don't know what you're doing, and you don't know you don't. The conscious incompetent, you don't know what you're doing, but at least you know it. The unconscious competent, You know what to do, but you can't explain it. And then the conscious competent. It's a compliment to Rucker, but he never got to the fourth level. He was always the third level, did it right. If you wanted him to train, he said, well, just watch what I do. I said, no, that's not enough, Rucker. We got to tell him step A, step B. He said, I don't know. Follow me around, take notes.
I'm going to share too. Lynn Serrano, part of our Grow Live Academy, saying hi. And then Greg Sneed is complimenting you on your book on closing. He's made a nice chunk of change from the wisdom in that book. Thanks.
Thank you, Gregory. I appreciate it. And I appreciate the doctor, because I think that wears well on me. At Murphy High School in Atlanta, they didn't give out doctorates.
But you know what? When you talk about that, the one thing that stuck out in my mind is how, when you were on that, you mentioned it in your book, Closers too, about the fish, you were fishing, and just the way he reminds me of Cool Hand Luke. Jimmy Rucker is
Yep.
Nothing phases the guy. He's like fishing. Yeah, well, I know what's going to happen. They don't, but I do. And that's his whole approach.
The short version of what Mark's telling you about, folks, is Rucker and I were sport fishing off the coast of Florida somewhere, chartered a boat. And the captain, of course, wants you to do well. So when you come back to the dock, you tell everybody he's the one to be with, and so on. So they really have a vested interest in you catching fish, even if you can't take them back to the hotel and do anything with them. I always wound up giving them to the kids on the dock to take to their family. But we're out fishing, and something struck Rucker's line. I don't know what it was, but it just boom, and it snapped. Popped all those little things that hold the line, and people started running around and throwing gaffs on the deck and carrying on, and the captain's backing up. It was really exciting. I didn't know what was going on, but it was exciting. And with all this excitement going on, I look over at Rucker. I think he had a cigar in his hand, but whatever. He's smoking a cigar, let's say, and watching the fish and all this activity beside him and around him. And he saw me looking at him, and he turned to me, he said, Ben, the fish doesn't know how this comes out, but I do. And that calms me. And that's sort of Cool Hand Luke, and it's his approach to selling. You can flop around the deck and yell and scream all you want, but when the dust settles, you will give me the payment I just asked for. I've told you, pardon me for repeating the story, but I'll make it quick. We're sitting in the Georgian Terrace Hotel in the Grand Ballroom one day. We've got prospects on one side, Rucker and I on the other. He's working with 3 or 4. I'm working with 3 or 4. We have our legal pads out. We're drawing circles and going through the closing script. And this guy says, well, I'm in, but I forgot my checkbook. Today, that doesn't sound so odd, but back in the day, before credit cards were common, we all carried a checkbook. You didn't leave the house without one. Just like today, you wouldn't leave without a credit card or a debit card or something. He says, so I'm in, but I left my credit card at home. And Rucker stood up, reached over the table into the guy's suit pocket, and felt around. I thought, what in the world is he doing? And he pulled it out. He says, oh, here it is. I just couldn't believe he'd forgotten it. And the guy said, oh, golly, I didn't feel it there. And Rucker said, well, just make the check out to Holiday Magic. And it was, I don't know, $2,500 or $5,000, $25,000 or $50,000 today. And the guy wrote the check and handed it to him. Now, I maintain, Mark, Tom, if any one of the 3 of us reached into some guy's suit coat pocket and lifted his checkbook out,
I'm in trouble.
We'd be on the floor.
Yeah.
The guy laughed and wrote the check. That's the charm of Rucker. Zig couldn't have done that. Nobody I know, nor would we. But Rucker is so close to people when he talks to them mentally that it's like that was his coat too. That was his coat pocket also. And the guy just temporarily lost their checkbook.
Wow. It goes back to what you said, infiltrating. And I know Tom's got some questions for you as well. I mean, I don't want to, But I will share this one. Greg said he's not going to pay any royalties, by the way. So he just wanted you to know that.
And the big fish story. He made a
Yeah, here you go. He said, so I love that story, and that's who I've dubbed. I'm serious. I call Jimmy. He's Cool Hand Luke. I mean, and I just watched that the other day. I just thought about it. I said, I'd like to watch that thing, and I studied it, and I said, that's Rucker. That's him, man. They're in a prison camp, but look at how the way Paul Newman handles himself as Cool Hand Luke. It doesn't faze him.
What we have here, gentlemen, is a failure
to communicate. Yeah.
Great point. I've been in lots of arguments. I used to be really hot-headed, and a lot of my friends were, and so on. I've never seen Rucker in an argument. He'd just smile and nod his head, and the problem would go away, and he'd win.
Wow. Wow.
But Tom, shed some light on this. With now we're into the MLM thing and networking and.
I guess I'm going to just paint a picture of some of my reference and how I operate, what I've done in my life to have the level of success that I've had in life. Number one is I'm a financial coach. I have extensive background in financial services, nearly 20 years, teaching people how to win with money. Winning with money is a very simple process. Spend less than you make, get out of debt, and save some money. Now, if you can do that, you're going to win. That's Warren Buffett as well. That's one of his quotes as well. So, but why don't people do that? And that's always a question I pose in my financial coaching. It's behavior. But winning and creating wealth, there's different ways to create wealth. And wealth sometimes people have a wrong perception what that means. I think wealth is the standard of living, the quality of life that you want to create for yourself. Yep. That's your definition, is going to be yours. Mark's going to have his. I'm going to have mine. But I'm about helping individuals create wealth. And when I talk on the terms of money, there's only 4 ways I know how to do it. Number, save your way to wealth. And that's about a 40-year game plan, right?
Yeah.
That works, but most people don't do it. Number 2 is go into business. But most people go into business because they're good at something. They may love it, but they go into business and they've created another job, right? Yep. They don't understand the principle of building a business that runs by itself when you're not there. And that sort of leads to why network marketing works. You're leveraging the resources, everything, just like IBM does. They're leveraging everybody in that company for the president of the company, right? So building a business that stands by itself, and that it could be a franchise, that could be a lot of different types of situations, and then building a business that creates income on its own, residual income. And the 4th way to become wealthy, and the odds are not very good, is hitting the lottery. That's the only 4 ways. You want to make any comments on any of those things there? Because I think what we want to do is get people to think outside the box, and how do you build wealth, and why business? Business is not for everybody. Would you agree? But if you had the desire to do something different, what should you be looking at in going to business?
Well, first of all, there are people I've met over the years. I got to know them and knew of them. And so should I go into business? I said, no. Get a job with the county, work your way up. Our local sheriff makes $250,000 a year, and we're in a little bitty county. Great guy, so work your way up, become head of the planning department or something, make $175,000 a year, and bank it, because business isn't your thing. And my instinct is to recruit everybody into selling. Well, everybody shouldn't be in selling. There are people who just shouldn't be. I've taken people who were marrying money is good. I tried that, but it turned out
number 5.
It turned out that when I married Gigi Ronzoni, I thought I was marrying into the pasta fortune, but her name is Rozone. There's his I. You got to check the spelling. But I have a friend who did that, worth several millions of dollars. I don't know how he lives with himself, because he married a woman I know he doesn't love. So There are numerous ways to do it, I guess. But there are a lot of people who shouldn't be in business. There are a lot of people who shouldn't be in selling, not trying to keep anybody out. But I'm just saying, I've lived long enough to know how it's going to come out. It's not them. So there are people who ought to go to work for the post office, save money, get with Warren Buffett or my financial advisor and pack it away. And you're never going to live in a palace, but you'll live well. And when retirement age comes, you and your husband or wife will be traveling, having a lovely life. My definition of success, among others, is living where I want, with whom I want, doing what I want, when I want. And when that's all in line, which requires some money usually, but when that's all in line, I'm a happy camper. I can't eat a checkbook. Tom, when I speak to young classes of Pepperdine University down to high schools and so on, at about grammar school and high school level, I say it's really an honor to be in a room with so many millionaires, because before I leave here today, you're all going to know how to be a millionaire. And I give them the basics that, take 15% of every penny that comes to you, Christmas gifts, party gifts, found on the street, whatever, and put it into a savings account until you have enough money to call Charles Schwab, and then put it in. And I give them 5 types of growth mutual funds. And then when you have about $500,000, call me and I will give you the name. Now I'll give them your name. I'll give you the name of my certified financial planner, who without him, there would be some times where I would have been homeless. No matter how much money I made, if you spend more than you, as Jim Rohn said, when your outgo exceeds your income, your upkeep becomes your downfall. I had that happen to me. I was living in one of the biggest homes in Marin County, overlooking San Francisco Bay, and everything was wonderful. I left that town in a borrowed Mercury Bobcat, little bitty car, lent to me by a guy from whom I had bought 300 cars to give away. Marin Bay, Lincoln Mercury. He reluctantly lent me a Bobcat to get out of town. I had never driven up to the area we're in now, this greater Sacramento area, Lake Tahoe area. So I didn't know the way to get there. I didn't know it was a big deal without crossing a toll bridge. I left Marin County in San Rafael, on the San Rafael Canal, with 50 cents in my pocket. And then I crossed the Carquinez Bridge. I didn't know there was a Carquinez Bridge, but I do know the toll was 45 cents. So I drove into this town with a nickel in my pocket and a borrowed car.
And an empty gas tank.
Huh?
And I said, in an empty gas tank.
yeah, probably would. I hopefully lent it to me full. I think I had a gas card that had not yet been shut down, a Chevron card, but that followed before too long. So anyway, I tell the kids, don't tell me, well, you don't know because you've been successful and so on. I do know. I've been there. And I say to the kids, there's not a kid in this room that doesn't have a nickel in his pocket, not one. Right. Well, with my nickel in my pocket, I started the 800 call center industry, which A, didn't exist, and B, 95% of all Americans didn't know you could dial a toll-free number and have it not charge anything. So because it was obviously long distance, wasn't their local area code, they yelled like you used to do when you called your grandmother, because long distance didn't travel well. And they talked real fast because they thought it was costing them money. But that's what I started, with a nickel in my pocket. Why? I went back to the systems we were talking about. I took what had worked for me before, and I just applied it to a whole new industry and a whole new company. Got people to come to work. They leased me an office, figuring, I said, I don't have the money right now. And they said, oh, okay. But they all knew I was Ben Gay from Marin County that had come up and done sales training for all the realtors up here. And I want to lease a house, but I want to buy a house. But in the meantime, we'll just rent or lease. But I got to wait till the money comes. Don't worry. Dropped us right into a house. Wow. So we had an office and a house. And the phone company ran lines 20 miles from Sacramento up here to get ready for this thing I was building. Even they didn't know what it was or how big it could get. Soon we had 150 lines coming into that little building.
Wow.
And had built the world's largest answering order taking service, because I went back to the system and started, that had worked so many times, but it worked for everybody, but it worked for me so many times since I started my lawn mowing business at 14. Starting the lawn mowing business at 14 and starting the National Communication Center were very similar. I took the formula my father had taught me and did it again.
Yeah, Ben, I think that's it. Anybody that's out there listening today and looking at business, make sure it has a system. You don't have to create it. A lot of people go into business, they think they have to own and make everything. I believe find somebody that's done it, has a system that works, and follow it. And I think that's what the beautiful thing about going into business in network marketing, multi-level, products been developed, marketing systems, sales materials, resources, payroll, all the things you need in any business has been created, and they have a system, just like a franchise. That's why I look at network marketing. It's, why do people buy franchises? They have a system that generates money. They don't buy the franchise because they like hamburgers, right? Or Taco Bell. Or I should have
how many can you eat?
But it's the machine, it's the system that delivers the resource called money that provides the standard of living that you desire. And I think that's where a lot of people get mistaken about network marketing. It's structured like any other major corporation, but you get a chance to be head honcho of your own gig without creating a business of your own. It's already been built. Would you agree with that? When people are looking at network marketing?
I've never invented anything. I made a lot of money selling wigs. Jimmy Rucker and I did. I didn't know anything about wigs other than that I was told. I don't know if you could hear that. I could hear it in my hearing aids.
That's okay.
It's my friendly reminder to go to the post office at 4 o'clock. It's not important, but it's my friendly reminder that goes off at 4 every day, whether I go or not. Anyway, what we did in every business I've ever built, let's go back to ABT3 for a second, the cleansing thing. I didn't invent the cleanser, and probably could have snuck. I've gone dumpster diving when I saw a product that I really liked and I want to know where they get it and what will they pay for it. The secret is you get a plastic bag, you put some aluminum cans in it so it looks like you're out on that search. You go to whoever's making it, you climb in their dumpster on a Saturday. I've never been approached by police, but if I were approached by police, that's the reason I have the bag with the cans in it. And you go through their dumpster and you get their suppliers, what they're paying, etc. So we did that, and then I didn't do the dumpster thing. I called Mort Scott, but and then I took the marketing plan from Holiday Magic. This was a different company, but took the marketing plan, dropped it over here, and built a multi-million-dollar business almost overnight. A friend of mine called the other day, who's a big deal in the land banking business. Property, buy land and sit on it. And for various reasons, he's winding that aspect of his life down. So he called me, he said, I've been thinking about getting in multi-level marketing. I've always wanted to own my own multi-level marketing company. How do I invent a product? I said, you don't. You get into cosmetics or vitamins or something that have a huge markup, which you will need. In Holiday Magic, I never invested in any product that didn't retail for 10 times our cost, because we gave the distributors a 65% discount. So you had to have the markup. That leads you to vitamins, health foods, diet plans, cosmetics, and so on. And so I said, I argue it both ways. I've been on the good side, the bad side, experienced the good, the bad, wrote Penal Code 329 for our state legislature because they were about to write something that would have just wiped out MLM. I said, let me help you with that, through a friend of mine. And I literally wrote the bill where it's not a killer bill. So I said to this guy, all right, we'll have lunch sometime soon and I'll try and talk you out of it. No reason to. I got rich doing it, but I just think you ought to know the full story. But in the meantime, and I went up to my other desk over here about 6 feet away, picked up my old Rolodex. I still have a Rolodex with the cards you flip through. I said, all right, vitamins and health stuff is really good. Back to R, pulled out the R card. I won't give them a free commercial here, but nutritional products. Guy to ask for is Lou, last name, gave it to him. I said, now, you may want to go into the cosmetic business for the same reason. He said, well, I don't know anything about cosmetics. I said, I've been president of 2 large cosmetic companies. I don't know anything about cosmetics. I know the people who make them for me, and I trusted. If Mort Scott said it was good, it was good. He invented Bromo Seltzer, Sally Hansen, Hard as Nails, everything in the Holiday Magic line, etc. So what I used to say to Mort is, let me go to the front of the room, hold up a jar of whatever, and with a clear conscience say, this is the best product of this type in the world. There can be some as good, but it can't get any better because everything in it is pharmaceutical grade. Can't get any better. So we're down to, do you like the color and the smell and whatever? And he said, so I don't have to invent it in my bathtub. And I said, no, that's the legend you create after you dial this phone number.
Right.
And they ask them what they have available. They got it with collagen, without collagen, with this, without this, and so on. And he said, how long would it take them to make it? They're already making it. Listen to me carefully. Everything as you just said, Tom, everything you want already exists. And then, well, what about a marketing plan? And said, you probably Google it, but in the meantime, get a hold of the National Association of the Encyclopedia of Associations, which gives you anywhere in the world that 2 or more people have gathered together, or they'll find each other with the same rough idea. They find each other. They form an association. Other people join them. They share their problems. They share their solutions, and they're all available. No one listening to this broadcast has ever had a personal or business problem that hasn't been experienced by others before. Find out how they solved it. Earl Nightingale, you say, it's probably in the library. He would say with his droll voice. He said, everything that's ever been created. And Earl was talking before the internet. You're now 2 taps away from being on, if not with the answer, within 2 generations of the answer. So what we're missing in most people's cases, and it was in mine, as Dr. Hill told me, people ask me, what's the 3 great things you learned from Dr. Hill? I hate that question, but I've come up with 3. Integrity in all things. Focus. That was a big problem for me. Maybe it doesn't apply to everybody, but it probably does. And the 3rd one is action. Action. I was kidding with Dr. Hill one day. He said, what do you like best about Think and Grow Rich? This is 1945 copy signed by him. What do you like best about it? I said, the title. And he said, why? And I said, well, you wouldn't be famous and you wouldn't be working for me and we wouldn't be friends if it weren't for the title. Surely you were tempted to write Work and Go Rich, in which case you wouldn't have sold 10 copies and we wouldn't be talking today. So Think and Grow Rich, he really meant it, but that was the breakthrough. People say, oh, I can just think. Well, right after Think, Jim Rohn used to tell a great story about somebody coming up to him. He said it happened frequently. Got Think and Grow Rich and How to Win Friends and Influence People under each arm. And they're leaping up and down saying, I am excited, I am excited, I am excited. And Jim Rohn said, it's good to be excited. But after a while, you got to quit jumping up and down and do something. And that's where most people fail. The action thing. You got to do something. You got to pull the trigger.
There you go. And Robert said somewhere in Toronto, a light switch just switched on. So you're making them think. So and Greg Sneed comes back. Earl Nightingale spoke of convergent and divergent problems. And Robert comes back again. Focus. Something. This is often most notable by its absence in my perception day to day. So I think we all struggle with that. And the other thing, Ben,
I have Crow syndrome, the shiny object. We're talking and something happens off camera, and my instinct is go, "What was that?"
Yeah.
You're doing an interview. And when that instinct strikes me, I hear Dr. Hill from the end of my conference table saying, Benjamin, focus.
And Robert says, as long as you remember that I'm armed with a weapon that can be fatal, the dagger of humor. So that's kind of interesting concept. One thing you pointed out, Ben, and I just want to share this. I really admired you the last time we spoke. You mentioned about you did fail. You've been through those dark times. I'm not going to bring it up that you possibly were thinking about doing something else with a pistol, tasting gunpowder. I don't want to get into
that's sort of a gentle hint, isn't it, Tom?
I know.
For those people who are watching, you can't put two and two together and think he was going to commit suicide. Og Mandino saved my life that day.
I know, but it's amazing that people don't think about these things, that they look at someone like you. Oh, he has no problems. Tom has no problems. We all have stories and situations. It's a matter of how you handle it. And people like yourself inspire me to keep moving on. Tom, there's a bunch of people out there that, I could go back 11 years ago and all the fun I went through, but I don't. I just look ahead and, stay focused, and that's it. It's easier said than done, but I know right now in this land of COVID and this and that, and what Tom and I are talking about, this platform can help you if you choose. You want to climb on board what we're doing, just sharing that out there. But there's a lot of doom and gloom. So what would you tell somebody if they're thinking about going MLM, or, what would you say to them? Is it worth doing as opposed to doing your own business? Because you've done both. Business. You've done both, and you're qualified.
Yeah. Assuming you've checked out the company and you're associating with good people, that's the key. Marketing plans are marketing plans, and it was ingenious when it was created, but it hadn't been changed much in 60 years. Coupled with the fact, as Tom said, all businesses really are multi-level anyway. But I mean, the real multi-level marketing pyramid scheme business hasn't been changed much in 60, 70 years. Hadn't changed at all in the 55 years I've been involved. So marketing plans are fine. Get a good quality product. 85% of all the problems in selling go away when you sell a quality product or service that's competitively priced, and you spend, doesn't have to be the cheapest, and you spend your day talking to, communicating with qualified people, whatever qualified means, geographically, religiously, financially, a lot of different qualifications. But 85% of all the problems in selling people worry about go away if you just do those three things. The rest is about 5% product knowledge and becoming a person of class, quality, and substance yourself. So check out the company if you're not going to start your own, which I would suggest that be your second step. First, learn how to do it on somebody else's money and experience. So check out a quality product that you would personally use and swear by. Don't sell junk. The Yugo was a horrible car. Some of you people are old enough to remember it. There's nothing on earth. Nothing on earth you can do to honestly sell a Yugo. It was a piece of crap with four wheels. And people come to my seminars, how do we sell more Yugos? I don't know. Get a gun, trap the customer in the lobby, in your closing office, and threaten to kill the kids if they don't buy it. Other than that, I don't know what to tell you. So you get a good quality product. If you had access to my magic Rolodex, I just alluded to a vitamin company, healthcare company, diet plan company, cosmetic company. They're right there that you just dial. Come up with a name. I used to get my names off the back of yachts. People get very creative when they name the yacht. So I'd get on our yacht and cruise around with a pad, writing down names, come back with new product names. So everything in the Holiday Magic line that was created after I got there, everything came off the back of a yacht.
Oh, wow.
And Mort Scott.
That's a great story.
Yeah. Think about when you look at the back of yachts, serendipity and fly me to the moon and whatever, and quality products, good people, and be sure that you can stand at the front of the room and say, you can't make a product or service any better than this. We've done all that. That's done. You may invest with confidence. And then in some multi-level marketing, a lot of wholesale businesses wouldn't maybe be a good one, but we sold 10.5 million copies of the Closers Part 1 when we quit counting 25 years ago. And cumulatively of all the other Closers books, millions more.
Right.
Through all that time, we have had a no questions asked, lifetime money back guarantee. And through all those millions of books, we've gotten 2 back. So you want a product that's so good, you can say, I promise you, it's got the Ben Gay seal of approval. If I'm wrong, send it back. I'll give you all your money back. 2.
Greg said he had a book named Never Too Much.
Oh, that's great.
Cool.
It would also make a good cosmetic line, fragrance line, something. Yeah. Here's a great one I got off the back of a book, and we never did it, but it was called Trespasser. Now think about a sexy woman's perfume.
Oh wow! Yeah,
and Trespasser. Yep. I remember coming around the corner in the San Rafael Canal, and I said, "Look at that, Trespasser!" And somebody said, "What's so great about that?" It's a perfume name. It's a perfume name. As I said,
that's pretty cool.
We didn't do it, but I still have it in the back of my mind. Someday.
Of
course. Now I've said it here.
Yes. You're a trademark. You gotta get that.
Yeah. There's so many things I should.
Greg says she got the house. There you got the good perfume. She got the house.
Gregory, you want to put that on the back of a very small boat, like a rowboat or something. You don't want that on a yacht. They might miss the point.
Oh, Tom, go on, go for it.
I just want to compliment Ben. I've been in sales since 1983, different business, all different types of businesses, tangible products, non-tangible services, and you can name it. But, I've been through a lot of sales training from very, very significant people. So you've mentioned few as we've been talking, but I just really want to compliment you on your book, because I was going through this on certain things and I go, you know what? If I just do that, I can switch something in a significant way, just in this one book. Some of the things about understanding some of the different types of teachers and firemen and priests or whatever it is, their traits of how to communicate with them. Yeah. I wish I would have had that years ago. How to deal with an engineer. That's one of I'm an all concept guy. Don't fill me up with a bunch of numbers or how-tos. I'm a concept. So I just want to compliment. There's anybody in sales, we never know enough. We never know. If you think you know enough, you're failing. You're not going to get to the highest level. So I encourage getting this book, because I 40 some years of selling, and then this book as well. So I just want to compliment you and encourage anybody out there, get these books. Take your game to the next level. Take it serious, just like you said earlier. If you're going to go into business of any sort, it's a business. If you go into network marketing or affiliate marketing, treat it as if you made a $1 million investment. You would work the business differently, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Ben, versus $95 enrollment fee and $60 a month type thing. It's a $1 million opportunity. Don't treat it less than $1 million, and you'll succeed with that mentality. Would you agree?
Rich and Jay at Amway were friends. Mainly, we were friends. We were horrible rivals.
Rich DeVos and Jay Van Andel. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
We used back when corporate jets wouldn't fly all the way across the country. We all refueled halfway across the country. And where most of us went, Glenn Turner, who used to work for us, Rich and Jay and Dr. Shackley and all, we all refueled in Grand Island, Nebraska. A, it was halfway. B, they had girls in short shorts and little cowboy outfits who would come out in golf carts and bring you snacks and all. And the pilots picked Grand Island, Nebraska. because it was halfway across the country, and they got to see those young girls 2 or 3 times a week. So that's the reason we would go there. Anyway, Rich and Jay, we were talking one day in Butler Aviation, the little fixed base operation they had there. And I said, what's the secret of Amway? And they said, well, good products, all the things you're supposed to say. And they did still do, I assume, have good products. But he said the secret is we understood why people really joined us. They were getting friends. They got to go to opportunity meetings and hang out with people and have excitement in their lives. You think about a big opportunity meeting. It's hard to be any more excited than you feel when you're right there. A lot of people don't have that in their lives. So Rich and Jay said it's a thing. And then one day, we had a guy that worked for us. He's passed now, named Richard Strauss. He was an heir to the Rich's fortune. The department stores in Atlanta, Mark, they're legendary. They are gone now, unfortunately.
Right.
And my arch rivals when I worked at Macy's, Davidson's in Atlanta. But he was heir to that fortune. He needed to join Holiday Magic like he needed a third foot. And he would pay his dues, whatever they were, $50, $100 a month. That's how we paid for the room. Everybody participating paid for it. And he would carry the projector, 16 millimeter projector for the film back home every night, bring it in, set it up, and all the cosmetic for the display, bring them in. And then I noticed one day, Richard never brought anybody to the meeting. I said, Richard, you got to recruit? He said, I don't know. I'm sort of shy and so on. I said, but you're paying $50 a month and doing all this work. He said, Ben, for $50 a month, I get 100 friends, the members of the co-op. And then they brought, 2 or 3 times that every night. But he said, I get 100 friends. And I said to Rucker later that evening, Jimmy, I think I have just found the secret to the business. And then when it became president, flying back and forth in the various jets and met Rich and Jay, they solidified that I had stumbled upon it. They were running one of the world's largest social clubs.
Right.
You just made something that's really, me being a personal development coach, is that people want to feel included in a community.
Right. They want to belong.
Yep. Absolutely. That's part of it. Do you belong? Do you feel welcome no matter what the organization is? I think that's important.
Absolutely. So we had uniforms, black 3-piece suits with a Holiday Magic seal on them. If you were in State Power, had the State Power seal and so on. But you didn't get to just wear that unless you were an instructor general or a trainer general or the head of the co-op or whatever. I sometimes wonder what people would have done to get one of those suits if they couldn't earn it based on sales volume. I almost hate to think about it, what they would do to wear it, because they wanted to belong. So, when I go into a new company where it's appropriate, I'm not uniform crazy, but I go, where's the depending on the business, where's the polo shirts, where's the suits and all, where we're team members? Oh, well, we don't believe in that. Well, you're stupid. Because people want to belong. The National Communication Center, the call center industry, we had to fire a couple of people, but we never had anyone resign other than death or the spouse moved elsewhere and they had to go. Everybody who joined us were in for the long haul, whether they knew it in the beginning or not, because we had the corporate T-shirts, we had the corporate outings, we were family. I attended lots of funerals, lots of weddings, and what. So when they talked about the National Communication Center, they weren't talking about an answering service. They were talking about a family that had about 250 family members at any given time. Wow. And so you create that wherever you go. And make them want to belong to the family. It covers up, I don't advocate it for this reason, but covers up a multitude of other sins. For instance, nobody ever got rich answering the phone at the National Communication Center. It was a telephone operator job, put on the headset and answer phones. So we weren't going to pay huge amounts of money. But if you did well, you went as far as we could move you, as fast as we could move you.
Wow. That culture is so important that, you know, in any business is creating the culture. So
secret words that are only known, you know, I don't mean they're kept secret, but it's buzzwords. If you work for Microsoft, I'm sure they have words that would be meaningless to you if you didn't work at NCC, and I still do it from time to time in other things. They need to be yellow slipped. Well, yellow slip meant you put a note on a yellow piece of paper in their file when they called in for messages or whatever that said, until they pay, they don't get their messages. Well, then it was only probably one pad that became the yellow slip. Then it ran out and it became pink or white or what have you. And now we've moved on to other businesses. And I have friends who in their business say, I think they have to be yellow slipped. They don't know what they're saying, but it's a secret language, a member of language of the club.
Right. You know, I just wanted to say, Ben, you have in all your writings, your books, like 1, 2, 3, you keep it simple because, like you say, it's just sales.
I have to.
No, but what I'm saying is it's simple. It's a process, but it's simple. And sometimes what Tom mentioned earlier, my CRM, you know, my this, my that, you're dealing, and the ultimate is you're dealing with people, and just have a conversation like you would with a friend and just relax and enjoy the process. And that's why I like reading your books, because you break it down to simplicity. That the fishing story with Rucker, it's awesome. You just like, boom, it jumps at you.
Word pictures I find work best.
Yes.
Ms. Griffin, my English teacher in the senior year in high school at Murphy High School in Atlanta, she said, you're going to win the writing contest, the state writing contest this year. She didn't know me from Adam. I'd been thrown out of Murphy, sent to private school. Some might call it reform school, but my father had money, so it wasn't. So I got thrown out of there and back into Murphy. And so she probably knew of me, but she didn't know me. And she said, you're going to win the state writing contest. And I thought, does she know who she's talking to? I mean, writing my name properly. I didn't know how to spell Benjamin until I was a senior in high school, taking this Scholastic. Nobody ever asked me to write and they said on the SAT test, write your full name. And I thought BENJIJA. No one had ever asked me. So I got up and wandered around study hall and found on the Declaration of Independence, Benjamin Franklin had signed it. And I looked at it and I was thinking, okay, got to remember this to get back to your desk. It's BENJAMIN, not MEN. Didn't know how to spell my name, and I'm going to win the state writing contest. I did. Too long a story to bring up, but what she said to me during a first lesson, she said, Ben, I want you to write at a 6th grade level. That way you don't lose your audience. People who are smarter won't be offended, and people who are maybe not so smart will be able to understand it. So she said, remember, 6th grade level. I said, got it. She said, fortunately for you, that won't be difficult. Which looking back, I think that was an insult. And I'm not sure.
I just want to share this. Robert says, I love where Ben's stories take my imagination. And then JR hops on here and says, Ben is such a profound person, presenting in a simple, straightforward manner. And I couldn't agree more with that.
Well, thank you both gentlemen. That's very nice of you. I try and focus on you two, so I haven't seen all the comments, but I've seen a lot of familiar names go by.
Yes.
People that I know otherwise and elsewhere and so on.
So
that brings a comment to, we'll make sure you guys share this and push it out there, because we never know, the words of the wisdom can impact somebody's lives, get them to think a little bit different, give them a different perspective, or give some hope or some insights. Only through awareness do we have an opportunity to change and grow. Only through awareness. So that's our whole platform, is to bring new levels of awareness, and bringing in a sage, bringing in somebody that has been to the mountaintop, has been to the valley, And, I just encourage people to, follow those that have been in the path to success and learn from their what?
If you're going to climb Mount Everest, hire a Sherpa. And if you don't hire a Sherpa, you don't get to the top of the mountain. You become one of the 350 dead bodies on the side of Mount Everest.
And JR will appreciate that comment because he uses that phrase. I just wanted to ask you this, Ben. Are you the only living person now that actually knew Dr. Hill? I mean, has anybody else after you?
No, to my knowledge, yeah. In fact, we have a company called The Last Protege, which is based on that premise. He probably has some family members or something, but of those who worked with him in business, and he didn't do much mentoring. That wasn't his thing. He wanted to write books. I think I can picture him in a cave writing books. He liked to write. He didn't like to speak. He wasn't a good speaker. He was forced into it because of his popularity at various times. So he was, I doubt on an official mentoring basis, he probably didn't have a dozen official face-to-face, go meet them and help them in his life. And I'm the only one living.
Wow.
That's incredible. And to hear that story, knowing Napoleon Hill and, his writings and applying them in my own life and knowing somebody that had that conversation.
Jeez.
Mm-hmm. I was 25 and he was 84 the day we met. He was biologically old enough to be my great-grandfather.
Yeah.
So if you knew him and worked with him, you had to have been awful young then and awful old now. I'm 78. So you have to live to be 78 to even be in the running.
So, Ben, I got to ask this question. Have things really changed in sales today?
No.
And okay. See?
Not in selling, in rounding up the sheep. And I mean that in a kind word, but picture a sheepdog. The sheepdogs have gotten better. The sheepdogs are called the internet, sophisticated direct mail, I mean, all sorts of things. So the sheepdogs are much more sophisticated. We built a company with 1 million sales in one company. We had several companies. In one company, we had 1 million salespeople at any given time. We were doing $1 million a day the last 4 or 5 years I was there. And we did it inviting people, mirror under the nose, some phone work, but not a whole lot of phone work, and then get in your car, drive out to their house to your best prospect that night. Let's say you had 4 or 5. You went to the best prospect's home. And I can't tell you how many doors I've knocked on where they answered in their bathrobe because they didn't intend to come to the meeting. I said, that's all right. I've marked out my whole evening. I'll wait. Go get dressed. And drive them to the Georgian Terrace.
Oh my!
So the sheepdog today, people, I don't think they would do that,
right.
But we did. So the gathering them up has changed radically, and the customer is better informed. Sometimes misinformed, but better informed thanks to the internet. But people say, "Oh, and that's terrible. They know too much." It saves me half my time. I don't have to explain the product as much anymore. I can spend my time on the people side. I can spend my time striving to be Rucker and less time explaining to them what's in the cold cream or what's in the vitamin or whatever. So I think
or whatever else, right?
Yeah. So everything is better, but at its core, selling, you still want to know what they wanted to know 1,000 years ago. What's in it for me?
Yep.
That's the bottom line.
Well, man, I don't know what else to say here. It's been another honor to every time I talk with you, I learn something new. I mean, I'd love to have you around here, when I'm making calls, and you could probably say focus, Mark, or Mark, you need to do this.
No.
You could be my
on page 168, Mark, you should have said this.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. It's an honor being with both of you. And
our pleasure, our honor.
have me back anytime. If somebody dies or gets stuck in an airport and can't be on your show, call me. Short notice, I'll fill in. I just really love being with you people.
Well,
Thank you very much.
We love having you, Ben. And I got to close on this one. And JR's right. You still need to pick up the phone, whatever communication method that may be in today's tech, and connect and close. And
Absolutely. It comes under the heading of take action.
There's that word again, action.
Yeah. The phone is not a paperweight. It may hold down your prospect cards after you through alphabetizing them, trying to avoid making a phone call. I used to alphabetize them, then I'd do them by postal code before zip code. Get all the 17s.
Are you telling me you struggled with what's the word here? Procrastination? Did you procrastinate?
I've struggled with every psychological ailment there is. Everyone. Yes. And what saved me was Dr. Hill helped me develop a daily success system, which I follow religiously to this day. I don't have, people say, as you go to bed, plan your next day. My next day was planned, it was planned 50 years ago for the basics. And then the individual things like being on this program with you, this was formed and shaped 2 months ago, probably.
Right.
I just signed up to do a webinar with somebody in late July. And I said, I may not be alive in late July. Well, that's when we want you. And while we're talking about it, we want this to be an annual thing. So can you put us down for July, whatever it was, 23rd or something, for 2022? I said, yeah, I may not be here to read it, but I'll put it down. So I don't have to wonder. Gigi's always asked me, where are we going tonight or what are we doing? I said, I don't know, look in the calendar. I build the day as we go along. And then tomorrow, 1, 2, 3, aside from the basic stuff, there's 7 or 8 things and a webinar that I couldn't have told you without looking at the calendar. It builds itself. The system, Tom, builds itself.
And that creates a discipline.
Yep.
It creates the discipline.
Yeah. So,
and the notepads are still around your house,
Hey, Mark, I want to make sure. There we go. Pen, I always got a pen in hand, and I got notepads everywhere. So
yeah, you don't want to see what my desk looks like right now. It's full of everything, notepads and pens, and can't help it.
Mark, before I forget, I want to make sure people know how to get a hold of Ben. Find out about his books, website, because
then if I messed up,
let's see.
Hey, there we go. He's already got
my hand. This is high
tech.
Look
at that. That's beautiful. He's got
and
it.
On this side is the packing carton it came off of. But anyway, www.bfg3.com is my website. But here's where you really go if you're interested in getting the closer series. My hand's shaking. It must be time to get a drink. You go to stores.ebay.com/Ronzoni Books, RONZONE Books, BOOKS. And she, the secret's out of the bag, Ronzoni Books, my evil wife, sells it for less than I'll sell it to you. Don't order at the website. Gigi sells them for less at Ronzoni Books. And no shipping. Free shipping.
I got it scrolling down here, Ben. So, and I got the Ronzoni. Yeah. And once again, Gigi, if you're listening, thank you so much for doing what you do, because I am going to place another order and I can't wait. And I'm sure she'll go to your warehouse and requisition some books, and you'll probably say you're stealing.
Because I've got it in the headset. She can't hear you, but she just walked in. So I'll tell her what you said. Yeah. They said I'm handsome and smart and a whole lot of good things. Yeah. She didn't believe it.
Well, he said, he said, screenshot that for the win. Yeah. Oh my
High
God.
tech.
Yeah.
When,
I love it.
when you're 78 years old, this
That's
is high
beautiful.
tech.
No, I
High
think
tech.
that's great.
I'm told
And
I have to go.
I always
I'm
like
sorry,
to
what?
let people. I always like to let people know. Don't let age, the number in your years, hold you back from what you want, because you and I are in the same genre. I love what I do. I get up every morning with a passion. I look forward to helping people, and that's my mission in life, is to help somebody improve their life from my services and what I do. So don't let age hold you back, because I hear it all the time.
Well, I'm sort of like Jack Benny. I'm celebrating my 39th birthday for the 39th time.
Exactly.
Gentlemen, I've got to run.
No, that's great. Go
please
ahead.
have me back. Please have me back.
We will
You got
definitely
it.
have you. Ben, you go. Tell Gigi we said hello and thank her for allowing you to do this. We all appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. I'll tell her.
When I come out to California, I'm come and see you. I know where you live, man.
That's scary.
All right, Ben.
At least I know the territory. I'm from California. All right.
I'm gonna remove you so you can go, so Tom and I can talk. Thank you again, man. We love you and wish you nothing but continued growth and success, Ben.
Thanks, Ben.
All right.
God bless you.
Take care.
All right. So there you go, Tom. What do you think of all that? I mean, the guy was just.
You know, my number one thought here is our whole platform is hopefully that down the road we're the person that people come to and get the sage or the Sherpa's insight. I mean, every time I pick up his book, you know, or hear him speak, even though I heard that story again, I got a different perspective, a different understanding. So anybody who's out here hearing this is
right.
Go after your dreams. Be clear on what you want. Plug in. Find somebody that's been the path. They can help you avoid the stumbling blocks, right? So, you know, it's just an honor to have him come into our program and share with our audience. Share it out with some other people. And before we forget, go ahead, Mark. I'll let you pontificate.
No, I was just going to say that, you know, I think we got one last comment here, but I think Robert said, this tells me that my association remains on point, including those I don't mention often. So that's cool. And JR said, I already got the Go Live Sherpa in your fold. So that's cool because he uses that a lot.
Yeah.
I just think what he brings to the tables, I don't know. To me, Ben is that Southern gentleman. He grew up in Atlanta and he's got a lot of stories, but he's done a lot of things. And I've checked him out here locally since I live in Metro Atlanta. And when you mention the name, they know about him. So the guy's in his 70s and he's still out there kicking it. Like, what's that quote from Miles Davis? You know, an old man is someone that has a cane and kind of talks about what they used to do. I'm still doing it. Ben is still doing it. You're still doing it. And that motivates me. It's never too late. So,
never. You know, he said something too that I think is profound. He already knows what he's going to do today. His vision is clear.
Yep.
He's not guessing what he wants out of life, what he wants to deliver in the world. And so he's got his vision, those 5-6 things that it keeps him focused on, and the rest of it just fits in. So that was a profound statement he made.
Yep.
And he's clear. And that's what we want to do, is bring people to understand that part of winning in life. It's not just business, but winning in life, because what he was talking about works in the rest of your life too. So
and look at this. Ronnie Goodwin hopped on here. Ben Gay is the real deal, you know, and that's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's such a gentleman. You know, you can't help but like the guy, you know.
Wow. You know, we can sit here and talk, and I appreciate Ron and Greg and Robert,
I want to say everybody that was out
Lynn,
here, Robert, JR, Ted, Lynn, I'm just looking here. I'm just scrolling, Tom. The people, Tom Gavin hopped on here briefly, and he made a nice comment. I mean, I appreciate everybody doing this because they don't have to. I'm very grateful for that. And if you share it out, that kind of, takes it to the next level. Not so much for us, but someone may want to and need to hear what we were talking about tonight. You don't know.
Yeah, and there's some people in our audience we're going to have on this show if they'd like to. Just reach out to Mark or myself, because I know that some of the people here have something to contribute. And we want to have people out there that have a story, have something they can share. Everybody has something to offer in the area of success. So I just want to recognize that we're looking to edify you, elevate you, and share your talents, your gifts with the audience.
And the comments are still coming.
Who's next Monday's guest?
Man, I'm going to tell you this. This guy here is from South Dakota. Was it Suez Falls, South Dakota? Jay Jensen. And if you are really attuned to LinkedIn, I love Jay's humor. And he's another guy that has simplified the sales process. You got to check him out. He's got a blue phone. He does some crazy stuff, but it's with a message behind it. It might seem outrageous, but he breaks it down. And what I love, he talks about gurus and this and that. And it's hilarious on LinkedIn because everybody thinks they're cutting edge. And Jay just annihilates them because he's got 30 plus years in the auto industry selling cars. And he's just a phenomenal individual. I've had him on the message. I can't wait to see what he's going to share about elevating your profits. And, Jay's a character, but he's a character that delivers a very profound message.
Yeah, we're going to have fun. I saw your interview in the past with him, and I says, we got to have him on, So in closing, anything else, Mark? You want any more?
I just want to, I want to thank everybody, and please share it out. Tom, I appreciate what you do. Again, our guest, Greg Sneed, great comments. I enjoyed. I feel like I got to know you, so I'll have to stay attuned and check you out on Facebook and all the other social platforms. JR, as usual, making those real, to the point comments. And I just thought it was a good time had by all this evening, as they say. I mean, yesterday, I forgot to tell you this, since I umpire, I got hit in a certain place. I think I told you this earlier. That woke me up.
Noticed your voice was changed a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's why you wear a cup. And, that's the other thing. I'm not a spring chicken, but I love to umpire. I do it, and I like to stay active. And being around youth keeps you going. It helps.
Well, my friend, that was a great interview.
Sure was.
Talk to a legend.
Oh, yeah.
We
really did, and I don't think people quite understand that. I mean, he truly is. I've seen other things Ben's done. I mean, it's some pretty awesome stuff on YouTube that, people have interviewed him that are way up there. And, I'm just honored that he took time to talk to us.
Yeah. That goes back to everybody that's listening. There are people like Ben willing to help you up the ladder.
Right.
Don't be afraid to reach out and ask.
Yeah, that's what's cool about it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we're at that point where I need to do what I'm supposed to do, Tom, and close this bad boy out. And I guess I'll put you back in the green room temporarily.
That's it.
Okay.
Have some donuts or something.
All right. Well, guys, thanks again. And I'm going to close this out. Thanks, Tom.
Have a good evening, Mark.
All right. And there you go, everybody. That was Elevate Your Profits with the prophet himself, Ben Gay. And we're going to close it out here.